Pittsburgh Steelers fans, welcome to the Behind the Steel Curtain family of podcasts. My name is Bryan Anthony Davis. Alongside me is Tony Defeo, and we are celebrating the Pittsburgh Steelers on their opening night on Monday Night Football to the 2020 season, a 26-16 win over the New York Giants. Tony, this is your hangover. It's a good one, isn't it?
Oh yeah. It was such a great night, and it was actually a great weekend. Finally getting to watch football from Thursday through Monday night, and of course, it was the cherry on top was a great Steelers victory.
I know. I got to tell you, I've really enjoyed this weekend. I even watched Browns and Ravens, and that usually terrifies me to watch those guys because I don't know who I'm rooting for at that particular point. I never know who I want to root for, but I was rooting for the Browns, as I put in the rooting guide this week on BehindTheSteelCurtain.com. But it's just so tough to watch that game. But I really enjoyed stuff like Broncos and Titans.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the heck out of Bucs Saints. And I got to tell you, I live in Maryland. And I do not like the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't. And that's been a thing all my life. I never liked the Phillies, never liked the Flyers. Don't care about the 76ers because Pittsburgh doesn't have a pro team. So watching the Eagles and watching a lot of fans in my area that are Washington football team fans, watching them come back from 17-0 and winning that game was absolutely fantastic. I really enjoyed that.
Right. So yeah, it was nice to see them get a win. I mean, they've had a tough time with their owner the last couple of decades, and everything that happened with the name, that's not really their fault. It's still their favorite football team. So it was nice to see them get a win in week one.
Their coach has cancer, and he's a class guy, Ron Rivera. It was nice to see him pull that team together. So it feels good. And I'm looking up here on the live chat, lots of good friends in here. And, the one thing that I'm loving is Ryan O'Toole saying this: hangovers never felt so good. And you notice this is not the Steelers Q&A. It is the Steelers hangover because it's in season now. And we talk about those good hangovers and bad hangovers. There's the face down and a gutter hangover when you have complete despair and don't know where your life is going. That's the hangover you'll want to avoid. But the hangover because you partied, because you're celebrating, and you might have done some crazy stuff, but it felt oh so good. That's what this hangover is. And when the Pittsburgh Steelers go out there after that 2019 season, that wasn't a hangover the entire year, it seemed. But after they did that, you just felt really good. However, there's some questions now. It answered questions with Ben Roethlisberger's return. We're going to talk about that. But it also raises some questions, Tony, as well, because there's some things that transpired that nobody was expecting whatsoever. And I tell you what, Ryan O'Toole also mentions, bad, you don't sound like Barry White today. There was something terribly wrong with my microphone yesterday, Tony. So I am really happy to be able to say right now that I do not sound like the guy from Silence of the Lambs. I don't sound like Darth Bad, like I was being called. I was called Barry White. I sounded like I was like a mob informant that was that they changed my audio. Oh, I listened to it. It was like absolutely terrible. So it was my mic setting, and it was the gain on my mic setting, and I had no clue because I could not hear it in my headphones whatsoever. So you know what? I'm just feeling good. And here's another thing. I'm going to talk about the the post-game show last night. We had close to 400 people in the live chat, Tony.
Wow.
And the awesome thing about that is we saw names, and you're going to see some names here that you haven't seen in a year. And it's awesome to see these friends again. But I want to thank everybody who stuck with us through the entire pandemic, even though the pandemic's still going on, but everybody that stuck with us through the longest off season in our minds in history. And it's nice to see some names back. It was also nice to look at my text yesterday, and and see Kenneth McNair Jr. giving me a text during the game, talking about the game. So that was really awesome as well. And it's nice to see all you friends out here, Ryan and DJ2YT Only, and Just Me, and John Trent, and Tom Vallejo, and all these names as well. We really appreciate you. There's so many, and I love our Steeler family. So it's really good to see y'all back here on BTSC.
Absolutely.
So lots of things to talk about with that game yesterday. Tony, what was your initial knee-jerk reaction when that game was completely over?
It went pretty much how I expected it to go. I thought all along that it would be kind of sloppy and sluggish early on. It would be close, and then it looked like on paper that they had the better team. So I figured that they would pull away at the end, and that's exactly what they did. I mean, obviously they needed some Herculean, I can't say that word, some heroic plays to
Herculean, is that what you're looking for?
That's it. Ditto. They needed some of those plays to make it happen, but at the end of the day, it went pretty much as expected, and I thought it was a good win for them. I mean, there were some unfortunate things that happened, but overall, it was a good win.
Well, like I said at the beginning, it starts with answering a huge question, and that's Ben Roethlisberger. But it raises so many more, and we're going to talk about those questions as well. I'm looking in the live chat. I just saw Wes jump in. Big Bro Sco just said it. Wes, nice job on the grades article today. Wes Hickok has joined our team, and he did the grades article that I have done in previous years. Not only that, Big Bro Sco has taken over knee-jerk reactions for me as well, and he did a fantastic job. So, guys, thank you so much. You're doing fantastic. Great debuts for you, and you took a lot off of my plate, so I can get to more podcasts to throw so many more options for your listening and viewing pleasure as well. So thank you so much, guys.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. And hey, if there's anybody out there that wants to join the editorial team, send stuff in. You know, that's how we all get started. I started off as a trial. Tony started off as a trial. You never know where it goes. So it's really awesome. But you mentioned Ben Roethlisberger, Tony, and he came out. He said he was going to be nervous. He said we all knew he was going to have to shake off the rust. And he looked, and they really didn't know what to expect from the Giants. And they looked like that was an offense in flummox. You know, they just didn't look right at all. But when they got going, they started to look like the Ben of old. They started to look like the team of old. Juju Smith-Schuster started looking like a number one wide receiver, not just catching the ball, but running after the catch, jumping on fumbles, blocking. He looked like a leader out there as well. So we had all these questions about how are they going to play now that Ben was back, and is he truly back? You could probably say that Ben Roethlisberger is truly back. Would you agree with that, Tony?
Yeah, I mean, he made all the throws he needed to make. I'm sure there are some more throws out there that we need to see from him, but overall, I mean, the pass to Claypool was I mean, it was obviously a great catch by Claypool, his first career catch, a 28-yarder on the sideline. It was very AB-like, but the pass itself was spot on, and you know, I thought it would be that way early. I thought that the offense would be out of sync. I mean, all 32 of these teams have opened up a season unlike any season in the history of the NFL. No preseason games, at least since they started playing preseason games, whenever that was, way back in the day. So it was going to be sloppy early. It was going to be touch and go early, but they gained a rhythm, and by the end of the first half, they really found themselves as an offense, and they carried on from there. And I wasn't really all that surprised that Ben looked as good as he did, because I think if his arm was an issue before last night, we would have heard about it at some point during the summer. It wouldn't have reared its ugly head on Monday Night Football. It would have come about at some point during training camp.
Now it comes down to one thing that we did not expect to not start off right. We thought that Ben Roethlisberger might come out and be rusty, and he was rusty, and we thought everybody would be rusty. We were worried a whole lot about the offensive line. I don't think the offensive line was back to its standards of greatness, but I don't think they were horrible either. I think there's room for some improvement, but we also have to remember David DeCastro is not in there. You have Zach Banner, and we'll talk about him a whole lot more. Zach Banner starting for the first time at right tackle. I thought he looked very good in his debut as a starter. Stefan Wisniewski playing for the first time for his hometown team was absolutely amazing. And then you're moving Matt Filer back over to guard again, where he has played guard. He's played mostly tackle is what we've seen of him. People say that he is basically more of a guard than he is a tackle, but we've seen him excel in both. So what we did not expect was James Conner to get off slowly. If we thought anybody was going to carry this team, it was going to be James Conner at the beginning. Now, remember, the New York Giants defense was able to scout them a whole lot more than and Mike Tomlin mentioned this, and this could just be an excuse, scapegoating it. But they were saying that, we had no clue with new coordinator, new head coach, new offensive coordinator, everything. There was nothing to really, guide it on. But James started off slow too, but it just did not seem that he had that burst. They said today in the press conference that this was not a pre-existing injury, that he sustained this sprained ankle yesterday. Well, let me just ask you this before we get into James Conner. Is he the most snake-bitten athlete that you've ever seen play for the Pittsburgh Steelers?
I heard a stat today. I think it was accredited to Chris Adamski of the Pittsburgh Tribune Review, Trib Live, whatever it's called now, that after the last 21 games, he's either missed or left early in 17 of them. So, yeah, I think he's certainly the most snake-bitten that I've seen in recent memory. Yeah, and last night was another case of that, and he didn't look right from the very beginning. So if he did sustain that sprained ankle during the game, it must have been on the very first play, because he didn't have a burst. As you said, he didn't have a burst. He wasn't explosive. He looked timid almost right from the very beginning.
And you had to feel for him. You really do. Everything that he's gone through in his career, I find I've met him. I feel that he's a class guy. I really love James Conner as an athlete, but this is getting to the point where he cannot play. And This has got to be so frustrating for him. You saw the frustration on his face on the sidelines, and you hurt for him. Then you heard Mike Tomlin say, football is a cold business. This does not mean, though, that he has lost his job. When you listen to the Mike Tomlin press conference, and if you did not get a chance to listen to it today, check out on our podcast only, our audio only platform, Jeff Hartman went out and did the recap of the Mike Tomlin press conference. I didn't get to hear the press conference. I listened to Jeff, and he did a pretty good job. Then I listened to other outlets, Pittsburgh radio, and then I heard everything, like all of their updates, and Jeff covered everything. So it's absolutely fantastic. This does not mean that Benny Snell Jr. is the starter. He's not the starter. You don't know what the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to do. They said there's a possibility that he's actually optimistic that both James Conner and Wisniewski will possibly play this weekend. Mm-hmm. What do you do, Tony? If you're Tony, the coach, and you're taking care of who starts and who sits, what are you doing? But what do you think the Steelers are going to do as well?
Well, first off, what I would do, just based off of last night and the condition that he got himself into in the offseason, meaning the 12 pounds that he lost, I would definitely start Benny Snell next week, because I think if you're the coach, it's your job to put the best players out there to help you win. But I just get a feeling that they're not at that point yet as an organization. I think they obviously they love James Conner. We all love James Conner. He's a great story, but he's even said himself, my story isn't my past anymore. It's I want my story to be a great football player, and he just hasn't shown that. He did in 2018, but everything else has been a big, huge hiccup. So, but I think they're gonna ultimately they're gonna, if he's healthy, they're gonna at least have him start next week. that's what they're going to do. I wouldn't do that. I would put Benny Snell, and he looked like the far superior running back last night.
He just looked faster. He looked sleek. Yes, he had the fumble, and that's being brought up. Young players are going to fumble the ball. It's making it a habit that becomes a problem. Remember the movie, The Program? Omar Epps' character. He could not hold on the ball, and so they made him carry a ball everywhere he went. And if I'm not mistaken, Hines Ward did that for a young back in Pittsburgh. Was it Willie that he had Willie holding onto the ball?
I think it might have been Mendenhall, but yeah.
Or was it Mendenhall?
Yeah.
But
I think it was Mendenhall, but either way, I know he did that. I know Hines Ward did that.
So that's one of the things that we're going to ask here. What do you do? Do you because if it's sentimentality that you're holding on to James Conner and having him start over a guy who is the third leading rusher in the NFL after 1 week, do you realize that there were only 3 guys to go over 100 yards rushing in week 1 in the NFL season? I've never seen anything like that, Tony.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. You could probably attribute that to a number of factors. I'm sure a lot of the coaches around the league were spelling players just because it was the first action for anybody all summer. It was the first real action, and it turned out to be real action instead of preseason action. So I'm sure that attributed to it. And of course, all these teams around the league, they're going to be sloppy. They're going to be sluggish on offense. So they're not going to have a rhythm. So that it did. I didn't know that, but it really didn't surprise me now that you mentioned that stat.
So it's going to be very interesting to see. I would like to see Benny Snell Jr. get the start at home on Sunday afternoon against the Denver Broncos. Don't know if that's going to happen. If James Conner does get the start, Tony, how short is the leash?
I mean, I think that would be up to him, because I think if he's healthy, then he's okay, But last night he didn't look healthy from the very beginning. So I think his leash should be as short as it was last night. Meaning, as soon as if he gets hurt again, I think you have to, if he doesn't show that the explosiveness that we've seen in the past from him, then I think you have to yank him right away, or at least lessen his workload and put more on Benny Snell's shoulders.
You know what? Dwayne Williams says Conner is proven to always get injured, and that's a shame. It's true, but it's a shame, and that's what's happening. When he is healthy, he is a dynamic back. I don't know if he was healthy at the beginning of that game, even though they're saying he was. He just didn't look right from the very start.
No.
And and we were expecting big things from him. I think the running back position is something where you could bring a guy in like Benny Snell Jr. and have him start like you did Willie Parker in 2005, and they won the Super Bowl. That week he was still the third string running back because it was Deuce Staley and Jerome Bettis, and they were both hurt for week 1, and you saw what Willie Parker did, and It was absolutely incredible. You could do next man up with running back a whole lot easier than you can do a lot of other positions in this league, especially at the skill position.
Yeah.
But what I'm thinking here is this is something that, we both want to see Benny Snell Jr. get some more chances in here. We don't want to see James Conner lose his job either, but we'd like for week 2. This is a very important game. Week 2, I think the Broncos are a tougher team than most people do, but we're not advocating James Conner starting. But what we're saying is Mike Tomlin might continue to go with who he considers the bell cow, and he said that a week ago.
Right.
So,
but I think you have
the question.
Yeah, but I think it's not just based off last night either. I think we have to go back to the end of last season when Snell, his workload was increased at the end of the year, starting around Thanksgiving, and he almost finished with the most yards. I mean, it wasn't a lot, but it just shows you how many games Conner missed last year. So I think that based off of how he ended last year and the work that he put in this offseason and how great he looked last night, meaning Benny Snell Jr., I think you have to go with him. When you say go with him, not get 90% of the carries, but certainly be the get the majority of them. I mean, we're not talking about sitting James Conner and him never getting the ball again. It's kind of different than quarterback. It's just him being the primary running back.
Absolutely. And what we're going to do right now is we're going to take a quick break. Now, there's a lot of people that have come back that haven't been listening to the show since the last time the Steelers played. And we understand that. Welcome back. We're so glad to have you back for the BTSC family of podcasts. And there's a lot of new things that happened while you're gone, too, because we have probably 3 times the amount of shows that we ever have. So we'll talk about that a little bit more later. But what we're doing now is we are taking a break. If you're on YouTube, stick around here. If you're listening audio only, please go ahead and download show number 2. Part 2 of the Steelers Hangover is coming up right after this. Welcome back, my friends. Tony Defeo and Bryan Anthony Davis. That's me. It is the Steelers Hangover. We are celebrating part 2 of the Steelers Hangover and a Pittsburgh Steelers win, 26-16. I had 26-20, Tony, so I came close. But we're gonna make Kevin Smith, my partner on the Steeler pregame show, the winner who had 27-17. He came the closest with that. But if you get a chance, check that out. Every week we're going to do that. All the writers on BTSC do a paragraph and what we think is going to be the outcome of the next game. So check that out. A lot of people back here in the live chat, and like we mentioned, there's so much more going on. A lot of people that are coming back don't realize that Jeff Hartman left for 2 months and came back. And so he came back starting as August 1st. Lance Williams left the network. We're very close friends to Lance. In fact, I was texting with him during the game yesterday as well. So we wish Lance very well, but there's been some changes here at BTSC. The biggest changes have been with our audio platform. We have morning shows every single day, Monday through Saturday. And now we have the Steelers pregame show on our audio platform, which we never had before as well. Dave Schofield and Jeff Hartman are co-editors of Behind the Steel Curtain, and they are leading the way on a great editorial team, more articles than you've ever seen before. And we have more podcasts, as I am now the podcast producer for BehindTheSteelCurtain.com as well. And if you did not know this is the big thing here. Tony Defeo has his own show on Saturdays. It's Steelers Brunch with Tony, and I got to tell you, it is so much fun to check out. It is. I was, and I wasn't joking when I wrote this. I was writing something on our Slack channel today about everybody that contributes, and Tony is the one personality that. I really think that our live chat would shank somebody if they ripped on him. I've noticed how everybody loves Tony. So check out that show. It's my favorite show of the week.
I don't know if you can see this, Bryan, and if you're listening on one of our many podcasting platforms, and I'm writing all this down. So I'm writing a list of demands, and that's where it starts. I'm up to 4 now. Thank you, Bryan. I'm up to 4.
4 demands.
Yeah, I'm not finished yet, but thank you for that. And you're doing it. Cheers. You're doing an excellent job. I mean, if you don't notice out there in podcasting land and in YouTube, Bryan is like around the clock doing work for the podcasting platform. So please check out all of our shows.
And maintaining my real full-time job, which is not BTSC as well. So I'm looking in here. Is Beck gone? No, Michael Beck has an audio-only show called The Live Mic. And I got to tell you, Michael Beck and Jeffrey Benedict, they have one of the best new shows as well.
Absolutely.
And it is called Know Your Enemy. Now, they had a member of the Big Blue View the Giants SB Nation podcasting platform the other night, and it was absolutely fantastic. But go ahead, Tony.
Oh, I enjoyed that show. I watched it twice. It was really, really good. It was excellent.
But even if they don't have an expert from another team on there, Jeffrey Benedict knows his stuff like crazy. I got to tell you.
Yeah.
It's something, I mean, we have a team like no other, and I'm really loving it. And if you don't know this too, I got to pump up these guys. And I've definitely got to pump up these guys. We have two fellas from Australia, and you know Mark Davison because he's in the live chat, and Matty Peverall. They do Steelers Touchdown Under, as they like to call it. And it's Steelers from it's Steelers from an Australian perspective, and it's a very unique show. So check that out on our audio only platform as well. But as far as that goes, I am looking in the live chat, and I will say this. We do have a nice family here, and whether you're still with the network or not, anybody that has been with BTSC, I'm very proud to call friends, and I do take any insults towards them as a slight, so please don't do that. Let's remember that we are all a BTSC family here, and I do appreciate y'all. But let's remember that as well. But with that being said, Tony, Steelers did not lose a member of their family, but they lost a member of their lineup possibly for the entire 2020 season. We do not know. There's a lot of speculation that Zach Banner, a friend of the podcast platform who we had in a live interview back in July, fantastic personality. And Zach Banner went down, which they're speculating an ACL tear. That looked brutal on TV, Tony. What were your thoughts? I
just feel bad for him because he's done so much work. He lost a lot of weight. He changed his body type, and it was, from what I understand, it was a really great battle between him and Shuksakorov for that right tackle spot, and for his season to possibly come to an end late in the game. It's just such a shame because what these guys put themselves through just to get to a level to be able to start in the NFL is something right then and there, and then to have to be able to maintain that over the course of an entire career, and he finally got a shot to do that, and to have it end, possibly end, before his first start was completed. It's just a real shame.
The MRI has not been complete. I mean, but it really looks like that's where it's going to be. Here's the thing, and Ryan O'Toole mentions Hope Banner gets another contract next season. The guy bet on himself. That's the problem.
Right.
He bet on himself and signed a 1-year deal this year. And that was the exact words. I'm betting on myself. I know I can win the job. I know that I can go ahead and really make my living here because he loves Pittsburgh. But if he could, when you're a young guy and you have an opportunity to hook on with another team with a big deal like Javon Hargrave did, nobody could fuss with Javon Hargrave for taking that deal.
Right.
The Steelers couldn't match that. So I really hope that he will have an opportunity. Core 201 says Steelers won't do him dirty. I don't think they will. There's still that chance. There's that slight chance that he could come back.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's not what we think it is, but it just seems like it. So we're not going to say he's out for the season yet until it's officially said by Zach Banner or somebody from the Steelers team doctors, Mike Tomlin. We're going to, because it's been reported by other outlets, but we need to hear it from them. And Mike Tomlin would not confirm it today. Gerald Hawkins was brought in. Gerald Hawkins has been a hard luck guy for the Steelers too. When he was a 4th round draft pick back in 2016, he always seemed to get hurt, and then they ended up trading him to Tampa Bay. Now he is back. So that is a signing of somebody, Tony, that knows the organization, knows the scheme, at least knows how to be there.
Yeah, and he was somebody that, I mean, I can't really comment on his play because he really, as you said, he was hurt a lot when he was here, and I think he only appeared in 5 games over the course of his career in Pittsburgh. But he was somebody that Kevin Colbert spoke highly of when they drafted him in the 4th round in 2016, and he said had he stayed another year in college, he may have been drafted even higher. So, I mean, there's somebody, as you said, he knows the system and he's been in the system, so. We'll see if he can provide adequate depth, but I can certainly understand the signing as far as familiarity.
And it does not seem that Matt Filer is moving back to right tackle. It just does not seem. It seems that he is entrenched at guard, and that's something that they're going to want to keep him there. Hopefully, David DeCastro will be back, and hopefully that Wisniewski's back this weekend as well. When I hear Peck, I get nervous thinking it's a tear. But we haven't seen that as well. So we'll see what's going to happen as far as the Steelers go. But more questions have been raised. We've answered some questions, but more questions have been raised. The one last question that I want to talk about, and I'm going to do that in a moment, it's going to be surrounding the defense. But I want to bring up somebody here in the live chat, a name that I'm not familiar with. It's Charles Pinkett. As a Ravens fan, I have the utmost respect for the Steelers. And thank you, Charles, because I live in Maryland. And I have respect for the Ravens organization. I'm glad that you have a respect for the Steelers. I don't care who you root for. You are welcome here in our live chat, and you're welcome here at BTSC. So thank you for checking in. And we really appreciate that respect, because when it all comes down to it, I don't care what colors you wear on the jersey, what pennant you raise, who you cheer for. You are a person first, and thank you for coming in. Welcome to BTSC, my friend.
Yeah, regardless of what team you cheer for, what sport you love, we all know what it's like to be a diehard fan of a team. So, we can all relate to the other side, so to speak. And just because they cheer for a different team doesn't mean they're the enemy necessarily at all. Maybe on Twitter, but not in the real world.
And here's another thing though. This is something that's funny too. What do the Steelers and Ravens have in common? Steelers fans and Ravens fans have in common?
They both hate the Browns, right?
And the Bengals. I was going to say the Bengals.
Well, that too, yeah. Although it's hard to hate the Bengals. They're such a sad sack organization. But I know what you mean. When they're good, they're really easy to hate.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the defense. Are there questions about the secondary after that game, or is it just the fact that they worked so hard to bottle up Saquon Barkley that you had a lot of balls flying in the air, and it was so much easier for Daniel Jones to throw the ball yesterday because Barkley was bottled up, and I never imagined that they would bottle up that guy like they did.
Yeah, I don't think they're not going to face very many running backs of his caliber this year. I mean, obviously there's a few of them out there, but he's really special, and you could tell that they sold out to stop him. And when you do that in the NFL, I mean, you leave yourself exposed in other areas. So you can't really do two things. You can't stop the run like that and then expect to totally shut down the pass too. I mean, they challenged a young quarterback to beat them, and he did. I mean, we have to give respect to Daniel Jones. I was impressed with him last night. He made some throws, and he stood in against some major pressure, and he was really poised. So you have to give them credit too. But I think I'm not really worried about the secondary and the DBs at all. I think it was more. Yeah, they didn't play well overall. I think you have to acknowledge that. But globally, I'm not worried about the passing defense.
And you know what I'm seeing? I believe it was. I'm not sure who said it. Was it Mike Smith? It just said he was worried about Terrell Edmonds. I'm not sure who who to go ahead and credit that to. Darren Dalton said that. But the guy I was worried about yesterday was probably had the worst game on defense is Steven Nelson. And I really feel that Steven Nelson is a shutdown guy. Those guys were left on an island. So that's something that we're pretty much. So thanks, Darren, for mentioning that. But that's something that we could pretty much take solace in, that they're going to be fine back there, and I would not worry about anything. My nephew called me up today, and I'm letting him play in my fantasy football league this year, and it's a pay league, and he's 13, and he's like, I need a new defense. The Vikings gave me -6. I'm like, buddy, I think the Vikings defense is really good. They played the Packers. You can't just throw them away after one game. You can't.
Right.
So that's what I was trying to say to him, and that's really, I'm not going to make a decision on anybody in the secondary right now after just one game, because they were put out on an island. They did put them in danger by going after Barkley the way they did, but when they went after the quarterback, they harassed the heck out of him. And how amazing was Alvin Bud Dupree yesterday?
Oh my goodness gracious! If Ben wasn't if he wasn't away for a year and he didn't get all the focus, because naturally he should, he's a franchise quarterback and people wanted to see how he performed. Dupree was your player of the game. I mean, he was so disruptive. So if you want to credit TJ Watt for being double teamed, that's fine. But somebody on the other side has to make them pay for the double teams, and he's an exceptional athlete, and he should be commended for turning himself into the player that he has at this point of his career.
Yeah, and I will also commend Keith Butler on that as well. He has really helped with him too since he has taken over there. Snowman gives us $5 and says it broke my heart to see Zach Banner on the sideline, and the look on his face is something I won't soon forget. Yeah, really do. Hopefully it's not what we think it is, Snowman, but you never know. I am holding out hope. But back to that defense, there's other names you could talk about, and we're just going to do an exercise here, and I'm going to give you the chance to say great or Tony.
Okay.
I'm just going to mention some guys. You don't even have to elaborate. Just say great or and you're going to be surprised how many greats that we have here. This is yesterday's performance only. Vince Williams.
Great.
Devin Bush Jr.
Great.
TJ Watt.
Great.
We already talked about Bud Dupree. Here's a big one. Tyson Alualu.
Oh, great. I love I didn't even know his number was 94. Sorry. I didn't mean to elaborate, but he was spectacular.
Cam Hayward.
Great.
What about Stefan Tuitt?
He was I didn't really notice him all that much. I'll say great.
He was good. I thought he was really good.
Yeah.
And I'm really not going to talk about the secondary right now. The secondary was but that was just yesterday. They're not going to be the whole time. But I'm going to throw in another two names. Alex Highsmith.
I'd say he was good. I was rooting for him to get that sack at the end of the game when he was chasing Daniel Jones, but he barely missed him. I'm going to say good.
And let's throw in this one, Ola Adeniyi.
Oh, he was very active. Good.
Yeah. So I tell you what, we were talking about this. The depth was so much better. I feel better about the outside linebackers, seeing what Adeniyi and Alex Highsmith could do as well on that defensive line. Alu canceled out Hargrave. We knew he was good, but he was phenomenal yesterday as well. A lot of people want to talk about Chase Claypool. I loved him yesterday. And you know what I loved the most? When he took to end that game, when he took that handoff and he's going around the left side and he just gets down, that guy could have made it to the end zone. But that's a total team play, Tony.
Yeah, I was impressed by that. Maybe if he wasn't thinking, because he's a rookie, his first game, he might have ran out of bounds, just because he forgot about what you're supposed to do in that situation. But he showed a lot of smarts. Ben said during training camp that he didn't ask a whole lot of questions, meaning he pretty much understood everything right away. So that was a pretty heady play.
All right, what we're going to do now is we don't want to completely get rid of the Steeler Q&A. So we're going to do some rapid fire Steeler Q&A. We're going to do 5 of them, okay? So the first 5 to get in, and we'll answer them quickly. So go ahead with your questions starting now. And as we wait for that, Tony, I am really excited for this game with the Denver Broncos. I think this is going to be a tough ball game, Tony. I think the Broncos are a lot better than you would think that they are. John Trent's asking who we're going to give our game ball to. So we'll go ahead and do one on offense and one on defense. I'm going to throw in with my offensive game ball. Tony, I got to say Ben Roethlisberger just for the return, but I can give it to a few other guys on that team. Tony, how about you?
Yeah, I have to give it to Ben. I mean, he proved so much last night. Not to anybody else, but his teammates and him. I mean, they need him to be a contender, and I think he showed that he's pretty close to being all the way back. So yeah, Ben he definitely gets the game ball just because of how he performed after being away for a year.
It's hard not to give it to Juju though. Juju was awesome. And any other week, it's Juju's game ball, probably. Rapid fire, Tony. Can someone please explain to me why Keith Butler keeps using that stupid cover 3 defense where the far side CB is expected to cover the deep middle third?
Yeah, I noticed that on the first touchdown. It was the Steven Nelson was expecting safety help, and the guy that was helping was Joe Hayden. I don't understand cover 3, but I certainly understood that it was just 2 corners there in the middle of the field for that touchdown pass. So I don't know. Like as you said earlier, know your enemy. Jeffrey Benedict knows his stuff, and Kevin Smith, and a lot of guys on the site really know their stuff. Maybe they can answer that question in a film breakdown.
Yeah, that's actually that DJ2YT only. That's those guys are probably more equipped to answer those questions as well. They're X's and O's guys, and we're Tony and I are Z's guys. We just don't put you to sleep. So we're the Z's. Nathaniel Zarate, what do you think about Hilton?
I think he's a top 10, 12 slot corner, and I think that they're lucky to find him. I don't think he's going to be here next year, but I really think a lot of Mike Hilton.
Okay, before we go to the next question, let's do our defensive game ball. Tony, I'll let you go first on that one.
Bud Dupree. I mean, he just really had a heck of a ball game.
Since I don't want to throw out double game balls, I'm going to give it to Tyson Alualu. I just thought
fair. That's fair.
But it's hard for me not to say Devin Bush and Vince Williams too. It's really hard for me to do that because I'm a Vince Williams guy, and I just believe that the running game starts with him stopping the running game, and I thought he was incredible yesterday too.
Absolutely.
Anthony Johnson says, "Who can replace Banner and online depth?" I'll take this one, Tony. Well, it's going to be Chuks Okorafor. They battled back and forth for that spot. I do not know who is going to be the tackle eligible coming in at that position. Have no clue whatsoever what they're going to do with that. Gerald Hawkins has been signed back with the team. He was traded away, I believe, a year and a half ago. Rico Parson. Should Snell be RB1? Tony, that's yours?
Oh, yeah. I think based on the end of last year and based on what he did last night, he looks like the better running back. At this point, he looks like the better running back.
And then finally, our last question, Jay Hicks, do you think Ben is back? I think Tony and I, we could say it with one word that starts with an A, ends with a Y. We could probably say it together. Absolutely.
Oh, I didn't know where you were going with that, so I had to wait. I had to wait to make sure I knew what the word was.
I set you up on that one. Sorry. So there you go. There you have it. Tony, first hangover's in the books. It's glad to be back on the Hangover. I'm glad to be talking about football, Steeler football, and that's what it's all about, guys. I think this is going to be guys and girls, excuse me. This is going to be a special year. This COVID's been crazy. The whole year has been crazy with everything that's been going on in our country and in the world. But an escape for all of us could be Pittsburgh Steeler football. Let's escape together and continue with our Pittsburgh Steeler family here. We can't do these shows without each and every one of you. We've got over 150 in the live chat right now. And if you're listening at home, you're listening in your car, you're not listening live, but on our podcast platform, can't do it without you guys either. You guys are downloading our stuff, and maybe you're the smarter ones because you don't have to look at our faces when you're driving. So we're not exactly the cover boys here, me and Tony. Sorry,
That's
Tony.
Fair. That's fair.
But you know what, Tony? Great week, buddy. Final thoughts?
It was great to have the Steelers back, and I think, and I'm not just saying this because I'm a fan. I think just it's the eye test. I think they're going to be a good team. Hopefully they figure some things out on the offensive line. But I think if they can do that, I think it's going to be a very good year for them.
Okay, Core 201 is watching in his car. Don't wreck Core, please. we need you. So here we go, Tony. We are going to be back next week on our regularly scheduled time, hopefully talking about a good hangover after the Denver Broncos game. But you're also going to be hearing us next Monday night on audio only for the Steelers Retro Show as well. Lots of great things happening. Tonight, there's going to be another Scobro show. So check out the Scobros. Wednesday morning, audio only. It's Let's Ride with Jeff Hartman. Jeff will have injury reports the next 3 days as well. Darren Dalton gives us $2 and says number 7 is the next step. So thank you, Darren. And that is a great way to go on tonight. Yes, Dave Schofield, I just said that the Scobro show is on tonight. And definitely check them out as well. Rich and Dave Schofield. Now Rich has now that he's done his first editorial job, the knee-jerk reactions, he now becomes the greatest writer in the Schofield family. Wait, Dave can still fire me, so I take that back. But the show tonight with the Scobro shows, that's one of my favorite shows too. I believe those guys bring the most heart to the network as well. So check out the brother Schofield. That's tonight. Tomorrow night, there's going to be a Know Your Enemy as well around 9-ish. So much stuff going on. Keep on checking out the podcast platform. Keep on checking us out on YouTube. But you got to check out BehindTheSteelCurtain.com because that's where you're going to find out about all these shows. And that's where you're going to see the best up-to-date breaking news, the writing, the commentary, the X's and O's, the tape study, the film study. It goes on and on and on. We used to say that we're your one-stop shop. Hey, we're your non-stop shop too. So check it out. Big Marv. Hey, Big Marv has a new picture too. And he just snuck in saying great show, Beastie Boys. Yep, the Beastie Boys are back, but they're leaving for another week. But we'll see you next week at this time. And to quote the great, and I'm telling you, the great Rowdy Piper, just when you think you've got all the answers, Tony,
we keep changing the questions.
We'll see you, my friends. Love you, Steeler Nation.